All right, everybody, we are live and welcome to our third edition of Behind the Wheel. I'm very excited to introduce to you today Lily, our very own speechy up at the Sunshine Coast. Welcome to a podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And I was just saying before the recording hit how exciting it is to have one of our new graduates to come on. And Lily saying a little bit nervous. You know, all her siblings are on podcasts as athletes, and we've got a deep dive into that because I know you've said to me before that you've done or training for a half or completed a half. Is that correct?
Yes, yep. Got a
Completed or
few.
you're training?
I
You
did
got
a
a
I did a half Ironman last year, and I've got a bigger trail race coming up next year.
Wow. Okay. Well, we've got to get to that towards throughout this pod. So, welcome to your first edition. I mean, this is only my third, and I'd like to, no one's amazing the first time out, but I'm sure you're going to kill it today and have a bit of fun throughout the process. Lily, Speechy new grad for 2025 up on the Sunshine Coast. Actually met Lily the first time in person only the start of this month at our 10-year symposium event at Southport Sharks. And what I love about Lily was you were probably the very first person just saw me enter the room and sort of came straight to me, beeline, shook my hand and introduced yourself. And that kind of stood out for me. I love team members sort of taking initiative, stepping outside their comfort zone, any sort of leadership trait I get excited about. And I remembered that moment. I'm like, hey, that's got to take a lot of courage. I mean, I don't like to think I'm scary by any means, but for a new grad to come out and introduce themselves to me straight away was pretty awesome. So obviously I reached out to you, Lily, after this and asked you to come on board. So I'm glad you're here today. So thank you very much.
No, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Excellent, awesome. So tell me a little bit about your journey now as a speechy. I know you've shared a little bit of a blog about yourself about a month ago, a bit of a bio but just to bring the audience up to speed, tell me about your story on why you felt speechy or a speech pathologist, speech language pathologist. I'm going to go with speech here. I think I've got the clearance from one of our clinical leaders and team managers, but why speech and how did you end up? What was your background or what was your influence there?
Well, growing up, I just loved to talk. I'm just very a people person, and I knew I wanted to work with people.
Yeah.
My little sister, when I was younger, she had a bit of a speech delay, and no one could really understand her. And I was kind of like the translator when I was younger. Went with her to a few speech pathology sessions, and I remember it being a really positive experience. When I was in high
Yeah,
school,
good.
loved languages, loved science, and I don't know, I just fell into it, came across it, and I was like, that'll be pretty good.
Yeah, right. Have you watched the movie King's Speech?
No, but people tell
Oh,
me about that movie all the time.
I'm still going to wait for hopefully one of our speechies come on board and say I watched that movie growing up and
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to be. So a bit of a side topic there, but how great is that you had that sort of family exposure at a younger age, and how old were you compared to you in comparison to your sister and when she had those challenges?
I was only a couple of years older, so she would have been maybe like 3 or 4, and I was 2 years older than that. But yeah,
Oh, early memories.
I just remember I always felt like I always wanted to get to know someone if they're a bit quieter. I like to kind of get
Mm.
people out of their shell, or I've got a bad habit of that. I always want to kind of know a quieter person or see who a person is and kind of take the effort to get to know people. So I think that's really why I love speech pathologies. You get that opportunity to kind of get in there and
Mm.
find out who a person is.
Yeah, lovely. And that would explain the introduction
Yeah.
in person. Just love that. So you're still carrying that trait well and well through. So some of your earliest memories of being exposed to the world of allied health and having your younger sibling going through speech pathology sessions and getting the support to help her with her speech and communication. So that's great. They usually I love asking this because there's whether it's physio, speech, OT,
Yeah.
usually if someone's had a bit of exposure to a clinician and an allied health professional, whether directly or indirectly through family. So great to see. So you were a bit of can you remember, or this is your parents telling you that you were a translator and that you could communicate and understand? with your sister?
I can just remember her. I think as an older sister, you kind of take control of your younger sister. Your younger siblings take them under your wing a bit, maybe a
So,
bit too much.
okay.
I just remember her blabbing something and being like, "Oh, she's trying to say this." But I remember being really worried when she was going to preschool. I was like, she's not going to be okay without me, but she was fine.
Fantastic. Well, sometimes, that getting around that initial support is great, and then getting them to fly later on,
Yeah,
that's seeing the progression, and them managing on their own is as a great sort of
yeah.
transition to
And
being
I should
independent.
note, once she started talking, she hasn't stopped since. So
Ah,
she's doing pretty
well,
well.
there you go. Run in the family.
Yeah. Oh
Great.
yeah.
Well, we got you on today. There's plenty of talking to be had. So fantastic. So early exposure with your family to speech, and then that's carried on to 15, 20 years later, which is great. A passion
Mm,
for science as well, which is sort of the basic grounding of us allied health
yeah.
professionals, and you've got to love that. Being a people person too, fantastic. Again, that is a really great traits and interest, obviously, to having a career and as an allied health professional, which is great. And I guess my next question being community, and so what drew you to a community setting like the one that we have here, 100% mobile, in and out of homes. Take me through that. Did you really have an idea of where you wanted to go, or you were just sort of, hey, looks like a great opportunity here at Gen Physio. I'm going to give it a go, see how it, or you were like, yeah. Tell me how that all went. Us
I
over a
guess
clinic.
I guess when I was started off as studying speech pathology, you kind of think, teaching a child how to say their sounds in a rainbow room and that kind of thing. I don't remember even knowing that swallowing was an area of practice. And at uni I was just like blown away by how many things we can do, how many areas there are. And I was more interested towards the end of my degree in working with adults in the hospital, but I don't remember at what point I wanted to go into the community. I studied in Melbourne, wanted to move up to the Sunshine Coast, and I thought in the community, I'll be out and about, I'll see lots of different things. I wanted to keep my caseload really broad, being a new grad,
Sure.
kind of
Great.
solidifying those skills on a, you know, wide array of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about the community.
Fantastic. Well, I guess, with us, you're going to see all sorts of
Yeah.
weird and wonderful things being in community. No 2 days are really the same. And, we're got clients that are 3 years old to 103. So
Mm,
definitely the right place to give you that exposure. And I love that about particularly grads being open-minded to broadening their skill sets and not being super narrow, certainly in their early years. So fantastic. And I saw you're out on the road driving in between clients. Love the views, cows in the background.
yeah.
It doesn't happen too much on the Gold Coast, but I mean, I'm sure the Sunny Coast girls and team will laugh at this, but I should say guys and girls. But how often do you come across cow paddocks?
Pretty often, actually. I think we like to, in our team, we like to keep each other abreast of what animals we see in our day, whether it's
Okay,
horses or
got it.
cows or people's pets. So, yeah, see quite a few cows, which is always fun.
Yeah, nice. And look, for those listening in now, that was through to our bio shot. I know I asked for a selfie, and you had a great selfie, open landscape with a bunch of cows in the background, and just amazes me what beautiful landscapes the
Yeah,
Sunny Coast team get to have. So I'm
we're
interested
pretty lucky
to
up here.
explore. You're very, very lucky. You got some great landscapes. Look, we haven't got it too bad down here on the Gold Coast, and I'm sure
Yeah,
other team members around Queensland and Melbourne, they've got some pretty interesting scenery in their own regard. But yeah, had to highlight that. That was a good one. So I guess being a graduate, building up your caseload, getting exposure to different clientele. I know it's only been coming up to 5 months, give or take now, maybe
yeah.
even a little bit more, which is exciting. So really starting to lift in that first year. Standout moments. Have you had any standout moments in your journey so far as a speech pathologist?
I can't think of anything. I think everything is a standout moment. It's either, my goodness, that didn't go that well, or oh my God, this is the best thing ever. So like there's not much in between being a new grad.
Everything's an amazing new experience, right? Good or bad.
Yeah, I think it's just those times where you go, this is actually working well, and then I think when, I guess, working with clients and they kind of give you that feedback, and anytime they really show you like what it means to them and how much you're able to help them, even though you know that what you're doing can help people, anytime you get that reminder is awesome.
Yeah, like 4+ years at university, years in the making of study. You get to use your tools, which for as a speechy, yeah, it really comes from your mouth, your
Yeah,
mind. Us physios, a bit more hands, but yeah, but your tools are in the way you educate, the way you present, and direct your clients. How
yeah,
amazing is it when you get to use your tools to benefit others' lives and see progress and see the reward out of that is a great feeling. And that's the best part about being in healthcare too, is we're here to help
yeah,
people and get great results. So and how good's to get that feeling already 5 months in. You wait probably about another year or two, and as you develop, you'll see similar cases. You'll get more confident. I probably, for me, is, and I'm coming up to, oh God, 13+ years as a physio, but I remember probably about 18 months to 2 years in is where I started to really get my strides. I've seen this
yeah,
case again. I'm going to do this time because I realized that didn't work. I'm going to try this and really, really come into your own confidence, which is exciting. So getting
yeah,
those wins on the board will help compound that confidence in yourself that you do have ability and you know more than you think
yeah.
you do.
I think that was definitely like a big learning being a new grad. One of my last clinical supervisors on my last placement, they said, you know, as a speech pathologist, your personality is your practice, and that's okay. And I think starting in the community and kind of redefining what therapy success is, or like productivity per se, I think on
Mm,
placements in university, you're used to having to prove that you can do the right assessment and then quickly set goals and have those concrete goals and show that they can be achieved. But I think, as I said, particularly in the community and as a speech pathologist, your
mm,
job is to really take the time to get to know the client, get to know their
yeah,
family, but
absolutely.
also let them understand who you are, why you're there, and understand, what they're scared about, what they're really excited about,
Mm,
and I guess find out where they're at rather than kind of coming at them with this is what I want to do, and kind of supporting them to be able to be educated and empowered to make their own decisions rather than just coming at them and giving them education, finding out where they're at and supporting them to
love
learn,
this.
and I guess kind of take charge of their condition
Yeah,
and what they want to do. I really think that
yeah.
empowering clients to understand more about themselves and understand the specifics of what they might be experiencing, but also that that's separate to their identity and they still have
Mm,
control over what they want to do. I think that's not necessarily something that you can tick off in a clinical note of this is achieved, but that really is what I'm here to do as a speech pathologist. And I think that's, yeah, that was probably like the biggest learning, is kind of trusting myself and my instincts and knowing that
mm.
my relationship with the client and me getting to know them is the most important part.
I think you hit the nail on it there, Lily. Absolutely. What you talked about, which in my mind I'm seeing is building rapport with your client, really having that trust form that I'm here to help you, but I'm not here to take you in a direction that perhaps you don't want to go. We're going to do it together, and I'm going to communicate that with you, and we're going to create a bond where we're going to work together to do some amazing things and meet your goals. But I'm here to facilitate and lead, but to have you
Yeah,
come with me. And those are some of the soft skills that a lot of clinicians find very hard coming out of university, and particularly ones that really top the class. But
yeah,
that wasn't me, certainly by any means. But what they struggled with and what I noticed is coming in with the this is how it's done, too much science, didn't build the rapport, tried to solve all their issues in 2 sessions for a client who's had chronic has a chronic issue or pain or disability for years, coming in gun hot, going and getting upset that they're not solving all their issues in 4 sessions when you're going to need potentially 44 to get them all the way through. And then retaining your client, if there's another thing, right? If you come in and you've got some great tools that you want to develop and run with your client and get them to where they want to be, if they don't want to work with you, well, you're going to have a bigger problem. You might have all the tools and the ideas to get the client on board and to help them. But if they're not joining you halfway and doing it with you, you're never going to succeed, and they're never going to succeed reaching their, I guess, goals and improving. So
Yeah.
great to 5 months in and you're picking that up straight away, that without that client relationship and that bond and that trust and that alliance, you won't be able to bring that client along with you, that journey, which, isn't an overnight fix. It can be session after session, months after months. A lot of clients we have for years, but it's a steady journey in improving over that time. And sometimes you even go backwards, and that's always a pain, but that it's not always a perfect trajectory up and meeting client goals. So
Yeah,
fantastic.
I think one example that I can think of is I had a client who was referred for swallowing, had a history of stroke and Alzheimer's dementia. And so, we did swallowing kind of working on, we were slowly improving his eating and drinking and the safety of that. And I kind of asked if they were interested in any kind of communication therapy, and they kind of straight away said no. As we continued to work on his swallow, kind of came up a
Mhm.
couple of times. I just mentioned a few things here and there, but didn't push anything. And then eventually, one session, the client said something, and then we kind of opened up that conversation, and he ended up getting quite emotional about his communication and
Mm.
how it was affecting him and his view of his cognition, and that he kind of felt like he was losing control. And then the next session we ended up just talking about how the onset of his communication changes and the different types, and we were
Mm.
able to talk about the difference between his receptive communication, his understanding, versus his word finding difficulties, and how they're separate, and how that's separate from his memory, and how all of those things are separate from him as a person. These are just barriers that are affecting him and his ability to communicate. And it ended up being an awesome session. And at the end, I was kind of like, this is a lot, did you have anything else to say? And his wife said, he always says, like, I learnt more from Lily than I've learnt from any doctor. And I feel like
Wow, that's
I feel like I've
powerful.
learnt more about myself than I have from any
Mm.
doctor. And the wife kind of explained how when they got the diagnosis, they were had all these questions for the doctor, and she's been Googling, and they never kind of got the answers. And then I was like, well, that's what I'm here for. Like, I've got the skills to be able to
Mm.
provide that, that not everyone gets the chance to be able to get that understanding of themselves. And I think that was, yeah, that was probably one of my biggest good job, Lily moments. I was like,
Aha
it
moments,
was a
good
pretty
jobs. Yeah. Yeah.
awesome
You've done
moment.
a great job. Well done. So there's a couple of things there, and I love the doctor being a diehard allied health professional, physio. I mean, my number plate on my car is physio, but that's the story for another day. But I love that at the end of the day, we as clinicians spend far more time with our clients than doctors ever will. We will have a relationship with our clients more than a stronger alliance with our clients because we're spending far more time. And the doctors are working very hard on their own right, but and it's just a different model of care that they only have a short amount of time with their client. If you're looking at a purely time basis, so we develop much stronger relationships, and that's fantastic. So that you've got your client to a place where he could open up to you
Yeah,
and actually express the challenges that he's had, and actually then give you a rewarding feedback.
yeah,
I mean,
that's
how
right. And
great's that?
we're in their homes, we're working with, we see their routines, we see the people that care about them. Like,
Mm.
if it's not us that have the best opportunity to help these people and their families, improve whatever it is they want to improve on, then who's it going to be? Like, we really have that fortunate position in the community where we're really in there, and we kind of get to see everything and look at all the areas where we could potentially fix or help.
Yeah, look, and that's the benefit of being a community provider. I mean, that is my other biggest passion is the being 100% mobile here at Gen Physio. As a clinician myself, seeing the benefit of being in the client's home, working with the family members, with the carers, with whoever might be there to bring them along the journey too, and get them
Yeah,
helping in therapy and seeing and them getting excited about our clients achieving their goals and succeeding. It's just such an advantage that we have that luckily, and hopefully NDIA, you're listening to stop cutting our
Yeah.
travel allowances because community has such a big benefit into getting the best care possible for our clients and being in the home. It's an advantage you've just taken us through that other medical professionals don't get. The funding doesn't support home visits much for them. And so how great is that we can deliver that and aged care are all on board the home visits, so the NDIS make sure they stay with that too. But fantastic, great, okay, good stuff here, Lily. All right, so okay, this is a good one. If I can ask you what's in your boot, what would you tell me?
Okay. Well,
Yoga mat, speechy equipment, yeah,
um,
it could be anything. What's your
I've always got obviously my work things priority.
yeah, of course.
Equipment for any activity I want to go to straight after work, whether that's swimming or anything. I like to be ready for any opportunity that might arise. Um, for my work,
I love that.
I always have dice in my pocket. There are so many games that you can have with just two dice. With a client, it's so easy. I think dice are the best
Okay,
tool
favorite tool.
for yeah, or conversation cards for adults, whether that's for language goal, speech, or voice, for kind of generalizing those kind of things. And you learn
Yeah.
so much about people that you wouldn't think to ask. So they're always good fun.
Fantastic. So dice and conversation cards.
Yeah,
Okay, so they're your two go-tos at the moment,
yeah.
in amongst everything else in the back of the car. And you mentioned, so just to go ahead, you got your gear ready to jump on any moment. So you're driving past a nice aquatic center and you're going, hey, I think I need to go for a swim. Or do you plan your day and week out and you're an afternoon workout person, not a morning, or both?
No, I'm both. Yeah, I like to get as many activities in as I can. If I have a client that's near the aquatic center, I'm absolutely going to go there after work. Um,
Nice.
I like to always try and fit in a beach visit before work, or if I'm
Yeah,
doing some
good.
reports from home, I've got a 4 minute walk to the beach so that I can fit in a lunch break.
Yeah, absolutely. And on your reports there as well, I've seen team members have got sitting in a car and do reports. They're sitting on a beach, the park bench. They're at home. They mix it up. They're in a McDonald's getting a,
Yeah.
cheeseburger and a coffee. Like, where do you find your best environment to get your reports done in that sort of non-face-to-face or support activity billing activity?
I think I like to be at home. I've got a gorgeous balcony that's right in front
Okay,
of Mount
nice.
Coolum, if you know where that is. So we've got gorgeous view of the mountain. I like to be at home, but I like to also mix it up. If someone on my team's also got some reports to do, sometimes we'll sit and get to work together, or it's good to be able to change it up. Cafe sometimes nice.
Yeah, the cafe is a good one. I used to do that quite a bit back. Most of my clientele were in the aged care space. I saw my last client in early 2020 before I realized I need to really step up and be the leader that I need to for Gen Physio. And I love seeing my clients. I couldn't ultimately do the job at hand, but yeah, cafes are great. Just
Mm,
getting, you have a couple little hot spots that you go to catch up on the notes, scheduling out clients, just getting that sort of admin time in, or
yeah,
but great now that our team members can have that sort of report writing and actual billable activity, and
yeah, that's
you're
right.
really, doing important work too to help progress somebody forward in their own health journey. And it doesn't have to be direct face to face anymore, which I absolutely love that
Yeah, that's
NDIS
right.
particularly supports. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, clinician story. So what, I mean, you've talked about some heartwarming sort of moments and successes with clients. Is there anything else that you wanted to share on a most memorable client moment? Could be funny, could be inspiring.
Yeah, well, I once told a client that this is not really clinical, but I told a client it was my birthday that week and it was my 23rd birthday, and she says, "Oh, you're 30s." I was like, "No."
I think she's going to
No,
need
but
some
thank you.
more speech therapy work.
Yeah, must need a vision assessment.
Yep, that's it. Referral to optometrist. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, You don't look like you're in your 30s,
Thank you, I
Lily.
appreciate it.
But yeah, but she got back to front. Maybe she thought, 32, not 23.
Yeah, that's right.
But hey, yeah, that's a
They're
good, that's
honest.
a funny moment. They're honest, right? And that's how
Yeah,
you gotta run with it. Don't worry. I think I got, 38 when I was 22, but that might have been the beard. So I took that in my stride as more
yeah,
the wise, distinguished look. But
exactly.
hey, there you go. Don't worry. All right, we love our honest clients, don't we? Okay, and so you've got some hobbies outside of being a very passionate speaker here at Gen Physio, and tell me, what are your probably top three hobbies to do outside of your day to day here at work?
Oh gosh, top three. I'm very much a hobbyist. I'm just as passionate about my personal life as I am about my work life. But
Professional.
I love
Okay, so half marathon. Tell me about that. So you bit of a runner. Marathon, you've got bike, swim. Sorry, no,
yeah.
half triathlon, is it, or marathon?
I did a I did a half
Getting
Ironman, so a
confused.
triathlon. Yeah,
Ironman.
so
It's triathlon, so you've got the
yeah,
whole three. That's
yeah.
that's next level hard.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I did it in Sunny Coast actually. It was awesome. I did it during my last placement, so it was quite the effort to train, but it was awesome. And my brother is a professional trail runner, and he started. We've just
Wow,
planned a trip to New Zealand next year to watch him do
fantastic.
a race, and I'm gonna do one of those races. So he's made me a bit of a program, so I'm gonna slowly work towards that. See how we go.
And we're talking ultras, or what are we?
I'm aiming for 50K, but like
Okay, 50, yeah.
we'll see.
Wow. I still,
I had a few years ago had a dead toe bone. One of the bones in my toes died. I had to get it
wow.
surgically removed, and so
You're
it
kidding.
was yeah, that was 9 months before my half Ironman, but got back pretty quick,
Ouch.
and so
Yeah.
if fingers crossed all be good, we'll get the 50K.
Yeah, I mean, to just survive, let alone and complete it is impressive, let alone run the whole time. We were talking, I did the 10K just here in the Gold
Yeah,
Coast
how'd you go?
Marathon. And look, I was pretty disappointed. I had my heart set on sub 50
Mm,
for the 10K, and I was running it. Okay, let me plan your
yeah,
story.
go for it.
So it's pretty confident. I trained well this time more, and I'm not a runner long distance. I always competed at a state level and quite high for
Mm,
sprinting, particularly 100 meters
mm,
and 200. But and more into the weightlifting, and I prefer that. But
yeah,
I do love running. I'm really starting to get the hang of it now. It's been a while.
yeah.
I did the prep work. Now they started the race later, so it was normally a 6:30 a.m. in winter. Fantastic. Cold, you're hating life before you get going.
Yeah.
They started at 9:30
Oh
this
no.
time around. So the 3 hour difference, didn't think it was going to be too crazy, but the sun was just belting down. I mean, everyone listening will be like, Jordan, you've a bunch of excuses here, and you're not wrong. I'm throwing, but I'll take it that I didn't achieve it. But the first 5K, I hit my PB and I smashed
Oh
the
good.
prior 2 years. So prior 2 years, I think I did 55 minutes on the 2 years ago, 2 years ago, and then last year I did really well, 50 minutes and 20 seconds, and I was devastated I didn't get sub. So I was like, surely I can beat it. But the
Yeah.
5K, so I was ahead of my previous year and I was tracking her progress. I was well ahead going, I've got some good buffer time. I've hit
Mm,
5Ks and I'm running like 4:35, 4:40, so I've got some
yeah, not
buffer here.
bad. Yeah.
And then once I hit the five, the sun sort of came in, and then that was the pre-workout. I think I overdid it too. And next thing you know,
Yeah.
I was overheating it, like hating life. And
Yeah.
then that last 5K was the biggest mental battle. I think I tried to keep up with the fast. I never wasn't right. I was running a pace that I don't normally run at. Anyway, conked out. I
Yeah.
didn't stop running. I put it all the way through, found some life in my legs in the last kilometer, and finished home in only 52 minutes. I was devastated. So that's
Not
okay.
bad. It would have been a
Yeah.
long last
Oh, I
5K, so I can
was.
imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone's doing that. That's done a half and a full. So, yeah, going, this is amateur hour. And look, I totally get it. But I want to get under sub 50 for the 10, and then I will go to a half. I think that's
Yeah.
and then if I can get a 6 minute K or under 2 hours for a half, I think I'm job done. And then I'm giving up from there. Well, I say that. And then let's do a marathon. And then there's an
Yeah.
ultra. But I, I don't think my body will. I'll be a twig if I do that, and it's not where I'm going at this time of my life. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's right.
So passionate about running, exercise. I love that. Anything else? Got a hobby that's non-exercise related?
Yes. I've been really into puzzles recently. I love puzzles. I love to read.
Yeah.
I really like to mix up my hobbies, as many as I can fit in a day.
Well, you're going to blend well on the Sunny Coast team because I know they're all about that life too. So
Absolutely.
you've picked a good team to come on board here at Gen Physio. I know
Yeah,
I still can't get my head over the pet yoga
I know.
situation.
I know. We've got a pretty great team up here. We're pretty lucky. You think like when you're mobile that you'd be isolated, but I think it's actually the opposite. You're always taking the time to chat with
Mm,
each other, and you're
yeah,
working on the same clients. Like it's awesome. It's such a good team to
yeah.
have.
Yeah, very. No, you guys have got a great thing going up there on the sunny coast, and it certainly does help being less traffic, smaller, regional bay.
Yeah.
We're very, very lucky to sort of have that branch out there. I know our other teams just, a lot wider geography, the different challenges that come into play. So that's great, that you could be part of that. Fantastic. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to go with our quick fire round to
All
lead
right.
to the finish here. So I've got a few fun questions for you. We'll just keep it moving. So I'll start off with what's your go-to lunch on the road?
I like to meal
You
prep, but I don't like to spend a lot of time doing it. So it's usually just whatever veggies I've roasted and a can of tuna.
hit the basics, healthy. I love it. Oh, good. Are you sure you weren't a physio or an EP in your previous life, Lily? All right, keep going. We could all be fit and healthy, right? Doesn't just not just us
Absolutely.
physios. You're putting us to shame at the moment.
Yeah. No,
All
don't
right.
get me wrong. Once the weekend comes around, I'm not too worried about my health. It's just easier to cook vegetables.
Yeah, true. So discipline Monday to Friday, let it blow out a
Yeah.
little bit, and Saturday,
Yeah.
Sunday. Yeah, no, I I used to do the same for a while, but then once you hit the 30 mark, you got to ease up on that one. Um, all right, coffee order. What's your favorite coffee order?
Always an iced long black, or I'll have
Nice,
the
yeah.
iced long black with coconut water if I'm feeling a little bit fancy.
Nice. Perfect drink for us Queenslanders. Melbourne
Yeah.
folk will not understand what you're talking about. That's gibberish to them, but
Yeah.
I know it's very popular up here. Okay, nice. A best Spotify playlist or podcast?
I'm more of a podcast person when I'm at work. I would say either whatever area of life or my work that I want to learn about, I'll listen about a
Mm.
podcast on that.
So
And
clinical
then,
specific?
yes, not always, but
Okay.
then Hamish and Andy when I want to just
Veg out
switch off a little
comedy.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Okay. Yeah, good. Love those guys. Phrase you say most often in the car. Have you got one?
Oops.
Okay.
I know. No, I don't crash.
You don't have
I
a
make. I
company
take a
car
lot.
though, do you? We might
No.
have to revisit
No, I
that.
no, I just take a lot
Go
of
to the
wrong
bottom of the
turns.
list. Okay, a
I
lot of wrong
take I
turns. So
take a lot of
that's
wrong turns.
okay. All right. Hey, new to the sun. How long you been on the Sunshine Coast now?
Only about 5 months. I'm a
Oh,
bit directionally challenged, but I'm a great driver.
oh, well, as long as you own it, that's the only way forward, right? And dream road trip destination. Where would that be? Anywhere in the world. If you could road trip
Um, I want to
somewhere.
go to Western Australia. I did
That's
lived in
random.
Darwin for 3 months last year, and we did like a trip from Darwin to top of Western Australia, like Kununurra. It's like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I would definitely want to see more of Western Australia.
I love it, Lily. Very unusual to hear that. The old Western Australians will be loving you right now. I only went
Yeah,
to Perth for the first time last year for the Australian Physio Conference. Loved
yeah,
it. It's a beautiful place. It's like
yeah,
Tasmania. Perth and Tassie just seem to cop it pre-COVID, and afterwards everyone seems to be loving it. So
yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know what's going on, but that is, yeah, that's the other half of Australia over there. Great place to visit. Is pretty awesome in its own with
Awesome.
all the beautiful landscapes, waterfalls. You've got all sorts of stuff up there. Hot as anything though.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay, great. And just to close out, for one of our listeners, might not even be. There could be a speechy student. There could be still at uni, any other discipline. What's one tip you'd give them when starting out in community for the first time?
Trust your gut, you know more than you know, and make your personality part of your practice.
What's that? Great. That's a great finish. Well, Lily, I really enjoyed having our chat today. We've gone probably 10 minutes over time, but I tell you what, I
Yeah, it was
probably
great fun.
it was really good to get to know you. I'm hoping our listeners, particularly here at Gen Physio, will be very intrigued to reach out and say hello or thank for the podcast because you've got
Yeah,
a very interesting background. Love the passion behind you, both in professionally and personally with your commitments to some pretty intense marathons, triathlons, and every other fun. So, thanks for coming on to speak with me today and sharing me your experiences. Looking forward to seeing you blossom and grow as a speechy here at Gen Physio, and look forward to staying connected.
yeah. Thanks so much, Jordan. It was great to chat.
Thank you. And that's it. Behind the wheel, Lily. Thank you very much. Bye.